Hi, everybody. We'll get started in just a few minutes. I have recorded yesterday's presentation, and I will post that to the class with this one at the end of today's class. What I want to say is that if you came yesterday, then you have student speech critiques to turn in for the groups that weren't your group. So if you were in the media group, then you have to do it for the 3 groups that presented. If you are in one of the groups that presented, then you have to do the media group and the 2 other groups that you weren't in. And you're just giving general feedback, things that you like, things that you thought that could have been better. Doesn't have to be more than a couple of sentences for each person. If you don't have a person's name, then try to say, you talked about this or whatever. But it would be smart to watch the video if you did not, write things down of, substance, because that will need to be turned in by Sunday night if you want the student speech critique credit. So that is like a class participation point credit that you're going to get. If you have your camera on during today's presentation, you'll also get audience participation points, and that's just points for attending and watching the presentation today. So those points come from me just taking a picture of the screen. I go in and I'll give you those points on Sunday when I grade the student speech critiques. So you have that is due by Sunday night, the student speech critiques. But the other thing that you're going to have to do is you're going to have your processing paper about your group experience. And so I will post that to the class so you can see what the requirements are. It's not going to be due for another week, so you'll have at least a week and a half to 2 weeks to turn it in. It's actually due by the final exam day, which is like May 13th. But it's a 2-page paper, and it's something that you are writing yourself about your entire group experience. And I'll give you all the details in the assignment I post, but you want to be looking at that stuff by Sunday night at midnight. When you turn in your student speech critiques, then you can start looking at the final assignments for the class, okay? Emily, what's your question?
I just seen that it shows that it's due this Sunday. That's why I was starting to work on it.
Yeah. So I put it this Sunday just because I don't want you to wait too far from doing your final presentation. I want you guys to get started on it. I'm going to change the due date to give you more time. But what I said yesterday is that I really believe that it's smart that the moment you do your presentation and you're finished, to go in and write some thoughts down just so you have that at the top of your mind. Because if you wait to go do it in a week and a half, you're never going to be able to remember as much that you can process. So that's just to get you working on it. It's a little teacher trick. Okay. Anybody else questions? Yes.
You said something about the final. Is that a paper or is that like an actual test, an exam?
Well, the final exam will be just a multiple question test that's going to be really easy. I'm going to have something, but it's not going to be something that's based on, heavy studying or whatever. This is more about learning how to communicate in your groups. We'll talk about some of the things you learned at the very beginning of the semester, so some of the group dynamic stuff, but it's not going to be something that you can study for in advance, heavily in advance. Look at these 2 people together. I love it. You never see that on Zoom. Does that answer your question, Allie? Okay, perfect. Okay, cool. So I'm going to let the media group start, and they'll have the floor. They'll direct everything just like they did yesterday. And I will post this video to the class as fast as possible after today's presentation.
Can we start?
Yes.
Who would have thought that after going through a worldwide pandemic, we would be here today trying to choose our next candidate for president? A lot of people have been waiting for this, so let us get started, and let me start by introducing myself. My name is Emily Montes, and I am from the media group. Today, I will be introducing our media group members, what information we are sharing, and the debate requirements. As a media group, our job is to inform the public by providing a platform for the political candidates to communicate their message to the electorate and by allowing the parties and candidates to debate with each other, and by reporting results and monitoring vote counting. The task of the media with each other and by the task of the media, especially national media outlets, is not and should not function as a mouthpiece for any government body or a particular candidate. Its basic role is to enlighten and educate the public and act as neutral, objective platform for the free debate of all points of view. Our members will cover different topics such as voting history done by Luis and voting laws done by Ali, who will also help introduce our candidates to us. So now that you know our role as a media group, here are the requirements that you must individually and as a group meet. Individually, you must meet the requirement of 3 minutes. Be audible and visible and in a well-lit environment. If you aren't already meeting these requirements, make sure you do so now. Make sure that your pin crest is visible through the whole debate. Don't be shy to present your candidate. As a group, you must include a hashtag and a slogan. And don't forget the importance of promoting your candidate, which can be done through arguing why they are a better choice and critiquing the other candidates. But remember to keep it professional, respectful, and relevant. Don't forget we are in a classroom setting. Lastly, remember to present us with a quote, joke, or a combination of both. Today, I introduce our media group members, what information we are sharing, and the debate requirements. So by now you know who we are and what we expect from each group. Remember that your goal is to convince us why we should vote for you, even though we have experienced a worldwide pandemic. We are still strong in numbers and unity. We are still participating in our democracy by electing our next president. So now I'll leave you with this quote from former President Barack Obama. Change will not come if we wait for some other person or some other time. We are the ones we have been waiting for. We are the change that we seek. Luis will now be discussing voting history.
Thank you, Emily. Did you know one of the greatest privileges of being a United States citizen is having the ability to vote? Hello, 2024 presidential candidates and voters. My name is Luis from the Media Group, and I'm here to give you a recap of the voting history of the United States. As we all know, being able to vote for our political representatives allows citizens to be involved, take action, and make a difference in society. Voting gives us the power of change, make a mark in history, and voice our opinions. The United States allows its citizens to pick and become who becomes president for 4 years at a time. So it is up to us, the people, to choose the next leader of America. Although one might think voting has been available to all citizens, sadly, it has not always been like that. Starting since 1776, only Caucasian men ages 21 and older were able to vote. In that era, people might not have seen it as a concern, but gradually over time, all Americans wanted the right to vote. Soon after the Civil War ended, the 14th and 15th Amendment were ratified, granting Black Americans citizenship and the right to vote. Fast forward a couple years to the late 1910s, women and some men fought tirelessly for women's voting rights, which led to the signing of the 19th Amendment in 1920. So it's been a journey to finally include all Americans in our voting system. This inclusion inspired many generations like the ones I'm about to mention. In 1984, Ronald Reagan won one of the most outstanding re-elections, winning 49 out of 50 states, making it one of the greatest landslide victories in election history. In 1992, a third-party candidate and self-made billionaire, Rose Patat, won 90% of the popular vote, making it the first third-party candidate to receive that many votes. In 2008, we voted in Barack Obama, our first Black president who pulled America out of a recession and had 2 successful presidential terms. Then there was our most recent 2020 election that occurred during a pandemic, a hectic political rivalry, but also a year of groundbreaking voter participation numbers, reaching a 66.3% turnout of eligible voters. The people wanted their voice to be heard as they needed a leader to take on the issues that lied ahead. But as we all know now, voting for who we wanted wasn't always available to everyone. We've had the tainted past of restricting women and minorities from voting in our elections. Even with the 15th Amendment that constitutionally guaranteed Black Americans the right to vote, they were still met with systematic obstacles designed for them. Southern states continuously made efforts to restrict them from gaining access to voting polls by implementing gerrymandering, literacy tests, and ballot taxes. That alone discouraged multiple generations from allowing their voices to be heard. Unfortunately, it took a life to push the US to make a change. It took the assassination of Martin Luther King Jr. to encourage US lawmakers to finally bring forth the Voting Rights Act of 1965. But to conclude on a high note, We're getting closer to a better and brighter tomorrow for you, me, and everyone. We are here to vote for our next leader, to push boundaries for everyone, to keep the spirit of accepting and including all in our society. Also, did you know that the greatest privilege of being a US citizen is having the right to vote? Now go out and vote. And up next will be Ali with the voting laws.
Thank you, Luis. All right. Did you know that not everyone in the US was aware of the requirements you had to meet to be able to vote? Hi, my name is Ali and I'm a member of the media group. Today I'll be discussing with you the current voting laws and requirements in the US for a person to be able to vote. These include a person's age, citizenship status, criminal history, and the different ways that you can vote in today's age, especially in this pandemic. Age is an important factor when it comes to voting in our country. The law states that an individual must specifically be 18 years or older to be able to vote, but you are able to pre-register to vote at the age of 16 or 17, and if you do, you will automatically be registered to vote on your 18th birthday. Another requirement that needs to be met for a person to be able to vote is citizenship. In the US, the law requires every person who votes to be a citizen. This can be achieved by either being born in the US or by obtaining your citizenship status through the taking of the written and the naturalization tests. Here in California, there are a handful of centers that help immigrants obtaining their citizenship, such as the USCIS California Service Center and the USCIS Santa Ana Field Office, and more. Additionally, those who have a criminal record, specifically those who have committed felonies in their lifetime, are barred from ever voting again. This is better known as felony disenfranchisement. I can't say the word. This suspension differs from state to state. In the District of Columbia, Maine, and Vermont, felons never lose their voting right, even while they are incarcerated. However, in 11 states, felons lose their voting rights indefinitely for committing crimes like arson and aggravated assault with a weapon and the likes. Some require a governor's pardon for voting rights to be restored. Others face an additional waiting period, such as parole and probation, or require an additional action before voting rights can be restored. If you are permitted to vote, there are multiple ways to get your vote in. One way is by voting in person, although we do not recommend this as we are still in a pandemic, but if you must, be sure to wear a mask and stand 6 feet apart from others. If you don't like waiting until November 4th to vote, you can cast in your vote by a process called early voting. Finally, another way to vote is through the mail. This process is pretty self-explanatory, but did you know that 20% of votes in the 2020 election were sent in by mail? To be more specific, that is 1.32 million people who mailed in their votes. To conclude, we have discussed the voting laws in the United States, specifically the requirements pertaining to age, citizenship status, criminal history, and the different ways that you can vote in today's age. As I have stated previously, some Americans are not aware of the requirements you have to meet to be able to vote, but not all. So by discussing them with you, we hope we are able to educate more people. Now I will introduce today's candidate, being Melissa Joan Hart, who is an extraordinary actress, director, and producer. She began acting at the age of 4 and has been committed ever since. She plans to represent the Republican Party and help the youth discover politics. She supports adoptions, fostering orphans, animals, anti-bullying, and the environment. I present to you Melissa Joan Hart.
Hello and good afternoon. My name is Jennifer, and I will be hyping up our Republican candidate, Melissa Joan Hart. We firmly believe our candidate is the right choice. Here, we believe in vote for the person, not the party. Although her career, Melissa Joan Hart, has been seen as the girl next door, she started her acting career at the young age of 4 years old, and being a child star is no easy task. But still, MJH held her own. She maintained a rather calm lifestyle and lived a relatively normal life. Being a mother of 3 and being born into a large family herself, she is highly family-oriented. She can relate to the female population with a more personal connection to the mothers of America. The experiences she had growing up gave her a unique perspective when it comes to the American people, i.e. the Hollywood behind the scenes, child labor laws, protections of minors, and so on. She has a strong work ethic, moving from child actress to producer and on to director. She immerses herself into her craft, and it's safe to say she will do the same as her role as president. MJH beliefs are widespread and ranging from her religious beliefs, feminism, sense of body autonomy, healthcare, hygiene, where she volunteers in other countries. She cares. She has volunteer work, charities, programs, and she's very eco-friendly. She's a familiar face. Our generation, I mean, my generation, grew up with her. Some may remember her from Clarissa Explains It All, or her most well-known role as Sabrina Spellman in Sabrina the Teenage Witch. In a sense, it feels like we know her. She has a sense of comfortability in her face. She's kind, caring, and likable and approachable. She is a new wave of Republican. She's got a different perspective than other candidates. She's moderately conservative, pro-choice, so she supports the right to choose, and she's for gun reform. As Melissa Joan Hart says, the best things happened when I said yes to things. So go out, vote, say yes, and be fearless. And now on to Kaylee.
Thank you, Jennifer. Our candidate, Melissa Joan Hart, should definitely be considered for your vote. Hart has been working hard since her childhood to build her career in Hollywood. And although she is not part of the 1%, that in our eyes is a good thing. Her success throughout her career, her hard work, and her humble nature makes her relatable to all classes of people. She prefers to live in suburban neighborhoods so her children can experience normal lives outside of the Hollywood scene. Hart also makes sure that she only stars in roles that are family friendly and makes sure that she doesn't spoil her kids with anything. All of this makes Melissa the motherly figure we should all want as representative of our country. Melissa Joan Hart was bullied when she was younger for being a late bloomer and started a documentary series called The Bystander Revolution to talk about her experience. Her background and the stuff she has been through growing up makes her relatable and gave her a deep sense of care for others. Melissa was born into a Christian household and still holds those beliefs, and for her and her family today. Her religious views, morals, and lifestyle allow her to hold those more traditional American beliefs. Although she may hold more traditional morals, she is socially progressive. She supports the LGBTQ community, the pro-choice movement, people with different religious views, and people of all ethnicities and backgrounds. While Hart is more socially progressive, her views on other things are more conservative. She has voted for Republican and Libertarian candidates in the past. One of Melissa's biggest concerns is making sure the American people feel safe and supported. Who wouldn't want a woman like Melissa Joan Hart to be our president? And our next speaker is Elizabeth.
Hello. So a couple of reasons why you should definitely vote for Melissa is because some of her goals in office. She plans to represent the people, not the political parties. She is very for the people's opinions, and she looks to choose the opinion that best would suit America. She also wants the youth to get involved into politics. She's very about the youth, as we've heard already from our other colleagues. Yeah, she wants to work with both parties to unite them, because she feels like having both parties work together would really benefit America as well. She is moderately conservative. She's worked for libertarian parties. She one of the benefits to being moderately conservatives is she holds the view that we shouldn't raise taxes, especially right now during this pandemic. There's a lot of debt that we're in currently, and she just wants to decrease the debt and the deficit by raising tax cuts or budget cuts, sorry. And she's also, her personality fits for the presidency. She has great work ethic. She's a director and she's used to taking charge. Her personality is very caring. She supports causes with HIV, the environment, bullying, adoption, and she also takes charge by working for charities like Clothes on Back, Feeding America, Elizabeth Glacier's HIV AIDS Foundation. And now on to Salisa.
Well, Melissa Joanne Hart once said, "One person can really make a difference." Melissa was bullied at a very young age. She talks about in an interview with Bystander Revolution about being verbally abused and pushed into lockers for simply kissing a boy she liked. And Melissa also said in the video that she believed if someone would have stood up for her, she believes more people would have joined in to protect her. But now as Melissa has grown older, she is determined to being that person who stands up for those who can't. And so now Melissa Joanne Hart is a longtime supporter and a global ambassador for Stomp Out Bullying. And Melissa sees the importance of standing up for the people who are being verbally and physically abused, especially at an early age. Melissa's different perspectives have molded her into who she is today. She, having the perspective of a mother, has really fueled her drive in fighting and wanting to protect those who experience injustice, not only to stop bullying, but to help create a better future. So Melissa also has the perspective of a Christian woman. Her faith and her beliefs have helped her keep a calm and peaceful mind in the face of adversities. In an interview, she says, "I feel like every time something bad has happened, I've come out of it because of my faith." She also says, "I feel like right now I might be just as anxiety ridden over certain things as I was an angsty teenager, but now I have this understanding of it's going to be okay, and this calm and peace that people don't have if they don't have faith." So Melissa's faith has really kept her grounded and has helped her overcome challenges in her life. She has and will continue to use her platforms and positions to fight against bullying and injustices. So now I'll pass on to Nicholas to discuss critiques.
Hello, my name is Nicholas Pinzone, and I will be critiquing our candidate rival, Tom Holland. Tom Holland is a 24-year-old and was from London. And because of this young age gap between him and our own candidate, he has a lack of knowledge in politics, I'd say, because of that. And him being from London also would affect that because, he was not an American-born citizen, and so he has a lack of knowledge in American politics and legislative issues. According to Esquire, they talked to him about politics, and he has barely any political involvement or voice in it. And it is mainly because of his age. He said it himself. He believes that a 24-year-old should not be telling people how to live their lives or how to be politically doing things when he himself lacks that knowledge of what's going on. So, and another article from Celebrity Info has said that his lack of knowledge in the United States has also come from him being from London. So he does not voice much about American politics due to that. And we'll be moving on to Drake with him going.
Hi, my name is Drake, and I'll be critiquing AOC. Thank you, Nicholas. While you may look at all these candidates and will make up your mind about them, I'm going to show you why voting for AOC is not the best idea. Your vote could be used for another candidate like Melissa Joanne Hart. In the past, AOC has not done what she said she will do. For example, she shouted on Twitter that the humanitarian crisis at the border was awful and someone should do something about it. It appears when given the chance, AOC did nothing on the subject. A bill was introduced worth $4.5 billion. It was to help out the border crisis of 2019. AOC, along with other Democrats, voted no due to the fact they thought the current president would use the money for other things the bill didn't intend. Due to this wild assumption, the people suffering at the border didn't get help. While doing research on her, I found it very interesting that she co-sponsored a bunch of bills. She sponsored 23, co-sponsored 528, and introduced one to be exact. But the number of bills actually passed was way smaller than the amount of bills proposed. It was 0. A colleague that worked for her said legislation was never her focus. It was media and narrative. One of her recent media grabbers was the defund the police movement. AOC resides in New York, where she wants her district to be the way she envisions it, with less police presence, along with transferring the budget savings to other community programs. While she might think or have the population believe that defunding the police would be a good thing, it turns out it's a horrible idea. She points out giving away allocated funds from the police would benefit the local community by spending the funds in more important areas. What she fails to realize is that having less police increases crime. If there are less police patrolling the areas, criminals can get away with more because there are less opportunities to get caught. Along with the response time for police to get on site, it would take longer. Back in 2019, AOC was blamed for messing up a deal with her district and Amazon that cost the city approximately 25,000 to 40,000 jobs. You shouldn't vote for someone who doesn't value job opportunities. Due to her views on these issues, I think she shouldn't be a candidate you should vote for due to what laws she could put into place, like the bills she tried passing, but no one voted for. Our next speaker is Skylar. He's going to inform you on Meghan Markle.
Thank you, Drake. My name is Skylar Miller, and drama, family problems, loyalty, all of these are reasons why Meghan Markle should not get your vote as our 2024 president. Whenever I was doing my research, I found out that she was in fact married before she ended up being married to the prince. She ended up getting divorced from that, and then she remarried into the royal family. This would mean that her mind is not on our US politics, at least during that time, which I believe she got remarried around 2014, if I remember correctly, due to my research. And she, during that time, from 2014 until they resigned from the family in 2018, they had to follow all the royal family's instruction with politics or the way that their opinions mattered. They could not go outside of the royal family. They had to keep everything within. So she could not focus very much on US politics, whereas Melissa Joan Hart, she could focus primarily on US politics because she still lived here in the country. And another reason, due to her family problems, her father has gone several times to the media while she was living overseas. He's gone to the media to show, to tell them private secrets or stuff that, that Meghan Markle has told him, that he has gone over to the media and spilled those secrets, which is, I do not believe, a good asset for our political head of state to have a family member that does that. She has had her head in her name in the headlines many times, from back in the early 2000s all the way up until the late 2018. She's kind of slowed down since then, but she has spoken about government policies, personal matters. Her family, her sister, has showed up at the front gates of the Queen's castle to confront her sister to talk about stuff, which I did not know before. And that caused a scene with the guards and the media. My quote is, "Our princess doesn't get in the line of fire. She sets the stage on fire with her humility, humanitarian skills, and her family." So as you can see, Melissa Joan Hart is a clear candidate for your vote. Not only is she a great mother, but she is a great leader as well as hopefully the future president of our country. And always remember, don't vote for the party, vote for the person. Thank you.
Skylar, were you the final reviewer too? Or you just review? Okay, perfect. All right. So media group, your conclusion.
We've heard from Melissa John Hart on this platform and great points were made. Thank you for being here for our 2024 live Vote For Us debate. I'll be going over a few important pieces of information with you, all before we can wrap this whole thing up. Things like where you can go to vote and when the results will be available to you. Before I begin, I want to stress how important it is to vote. So please, after this is all said and done, make sure to vote for the candidate you thought made the biggest impact today and thus deserves to win. Remember, every vote counts. Let us begin. You will have until Sunday, May 9th to get your votes in. Robin will send out all the information necessary with further instructions on where to vote later in the week. As for the results, we will announce the results in class on May 11th, so be sure to be on there for the lookout for the winner. And so now you know where to vote and where you can expect the results. This concludes our 2024 live Vote For Us debate. I want to thank you all for being here today and showing us why they deserve our votes. Good luck and may the strongest candidate win.
Yay. Okay, perfect. So what I want to say is that Emily is correct. What I'm going to be doing is I will send out the link for you to click on and to vote for your candidate. What you cannot do is vote for your own group. You can vote for any other group except for your group. And the reason I'm doing that is because that's going to be able to tell us fairly who in the class voted for who. Now, let's just say that everybody did go in there and voted for their own group. Then that means that me and the media group are going to be picking the best group or who we felt like won the election. So it's better if everybody votes for someone else other than their group, because then we're getting a good kind of a tally from the whole class about who everybody thought was the best presentation, because our votes are going to be in there as well. Is there any questions? Okay, so you should check your messages. By tomorrow, you will have these two videos from yesterday to today. By Sunday night at midnight, you have to give your student speech critiques. And then you will also need to vote. And I will have the link in there on how to vote. You will not be able to vote until after Sunday. And that's because I want you to get your student speech critiques in first. And then we will announce it beginning on the 11th, or like Emily said, on the 11th. So I'll probably post Sunday morning the link to vote. And that's mainly because I want to make sure everybody watches the videos or does their critiques of the student speech critiques. We have the link ready and live and ready. We just need to make sure that you get your critiques in so you know how you would rank everyone. Who's first, who's second, who's third, and who's fourth. The last question that I had, and this is for the Melissa Joan Hart group, is there anything, I heard about the Betrayed or the bully documentary, but where would I know, like, is there something that I would definitely know Melissa Joan Hart from? Because I'd never heard of her until you guys ran her as a candidate. What's the most famous thing that she's done?
She's been in several movies, I think 33 to be exact.
Wow.
And she was mainly the actress from Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
Okay, got it. Okay, perfect. Okay, so that's what I'm gonna, because I'm gonna go look and see if I can find her photos, because I loved how you took someone who really wasn't running, just like the Tom Holland. I could see the Meghan Markle and I could see the AOC, but I loved how that Melissa Joan Hart and Tom Holland, I had to think about, what would their positions be on these things. That was really interesting. So great job by everybody. It was very cool to watch. Okay, so I will have that all posted by tomorrow. Go have a good night, and thank you guys for coming today. Bye-bye.